waves ignite for the chosen few. He's got the voice, the spirit, and the fire. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, taking us higher. He built a palace of cryptids in this lonely space. True Cryptid Encounters, volumes 1 and 2. Coming from the darkness, tell your own tale. He's starting the job out past the setting sun. He's Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, until the work is done. It's a Bigfoot pirate rock and roll show. On the airwaves, watch the legend grow. Come join the beyond and hear the wild scream. Michigan Rob, time to open up your mind. Get ready to rock and roll. Yeah.
Hello, one and all. It's late night. It's Into the Bizarre. I am BMR. Thanks to everybody for coming in today and joining us. Always a great show. Always great to see you guys late night on Saturday. It's always great to have Monica and Brandi with me doing this thing. Indeed. Thanks to one and all. Again, hit that like button. Leave a comment after the show. Please subscribe if you're new to Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Of course, on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World. Thank you so much for that in advance. What else? What else is on the agenda? Of course, everybody, the Super Cat is open. That's right, it's the Super Cat. That's a great way to help support what we all do around here. Thank you in advance for that. Also, you mateys can become BMR Pirates. That's right. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. You get a picture of good old BMR sporting a bandana in the chat room. That's what you get. And guess what I did? I dropped 4 members-only videos 2 days ago. Yes, I'll start to do that now as I get them, and I've dropped 4 of them. So go check those on out. Thanks to everybody for buying my books. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters Book 1 and Book 2, found on Amazon. Simply type Bigfoot Michigan Rob into your Amazon browser. They will pull up. In fact, the link is posted at the top. That is my Amazon store page. Yeah, it is. Something new. Amy Creel, of course, you have permission to board because you are, of course, the first mate of the chat room. Amy Creel, great way to start the show. Love you, Amy, as always. I think she's been a pirate as well for almost 2 years. I'd have to check the records. Thank you to Amy for that. Appreciate you. Again, I appreciate all of you. We got a great show, and I'm not going to waste any more time because BMR wants to take his pain pill after the show. Yeah, that's right. Most of you have heard about it. No need to go there again. Left to right, we got Monica.
Woohoo!
Hello, Monica. Sporty little hat you have.
I know. I thought I'd switch it up. My husband had his hat sitting here, so I just put it on.
Oh, well, that's very nice. It's very cute looking.
Yeah.
And of course, Amy, I was spot on, wasn't I? Amy Creel has been a member for 24 months. BMR knows everything.
Yay.
How does
Amy's
BMR
awesome.
know such things? Thanks, Amy. Appreciate you. Yeah, so yeah, very dapper looking, very nice. It matches your shirt. Matches. It's a nice blend of shades, a little off grays from my vantage point, anyway.
I'm all grayed out today.
Oh, grayed out, except for the hair, of course.
Well, yeah, I'm covering up the gray part.
Yeah, oh, there you
go. The gray hat.
Well, we'll get off that subject. I got the lovely Brandi. There she is. Here she comes. Hello, Brandi.
Everybody.
Oh, good to see you, Brandi.
Dying when I heard Monica do that. I was like, oh, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. It's just a fun sound. You gotta make it.
Yeah, I like that. It's very nice and fun. Woohoo! Woohoo!
That's my Homer Simpson. Woohoo!
Homer Simpson, yes.
And Rob, I do have to say this, because I always make jokes like everybody's like, oh, you need to do this or, climb a tree or, do something really stupid. I said, I'm going to fall and break a hip. And I'm like, oh gosh, Rob already went and done that.
I did that. I got to tell you, it was, I'll briefly describe the agony. Okay, we had snow, a bunch of snow, yada, yada. I was shoveling snow, hit a patch of ice. I slammed hard on my hip.
Mm.
And this was, I think, on Wednesday. Yes, it was, because that morning I checked myself I went to my doctor. I went and got an x-ray. A hairline fracture of the hip. This, that, and the other. And then I was doing the show with Monica. And I could not, I took a pain pill because I could not literally sit down without aggravating pain. So the pain pill kicked in, I could manage it. And then we did a show for about a little over an hour because that pain pill really kicked in. And yeah.
Is it residual right now?
It was residual. Yeah, so I decided not to take one for tonight's show. So I might have to stand up in 20 minutes, just stretch it for 15 seconds. I typically leave you guys anyway, as you well know.
You got to stretch your coccyx.
Oh, I have coccyx, indeed.
It's your tailbone.
It's tailbone. It's just a coccyx.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. We're going to go there. We're going to go there, everyone. Welcome to late night.
Welcome to the late night.
You're rolling that risk at any time of the day.
Roll that brisket. That biscuit.
That's true. Very true.
Thanks to Coley Nicole for the awesome Super Cat. The Super Cat is open. Thanks, Coley. Yeah, really quickly, then, speaking of Coley, I got to tell you guys, we did, I've been doing some collaborations with Coley, and I got to tell you, we had Paranormal Paul on, okay, last night. Brandi, you were in there for a bit, and
I seen it.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, well, first, here's the thing, though. Coley was on a Paranormal Paul show early in the week, and somehow it got around how Paul sported the blue underwear, right, at our conference, right? So I see her mind thinking, because I think she knew she was coming on with us later in the week, put out this kick-ass video about Paul. He's like a superhero. Paranormal. He's beating up cryptids, sporting the blue underwear.
Had it right now. I wish we had that clip. I really wish we had it.
Yeah. Well, you can watch the replay. Go to SNX Radio and check it out. That's awesome. And that was a great show, regardless. But that was the highlight of the day. It was a gift from Coley and myself to Paul. And Paul, such a great sport. He enjoyed it. He said, Coley, can I have that for my show? So who knows? He might be using that. I don't know. I haven't talked to him since. But yeah, that was really fun. It was really cool. I like that.
Cool. Super original.
It was definitely original. It was pretty cool. So
I remember Paul in blue underwear at the conference.
Yeah. You missed.
Yeah, you missed it then.
I saw it. Brandi saw it. Yeah.
I feel like I would remember it.
We took pictures. Somebody's got the picture.
You would have remembered it. Just go back, Monica, and watch the first 10 minutes. You'll see the video.
There's photographic proof.
Yeah. Oh, there's actual real photos floating around. Yeah. There is.
Okay, I'm gonna have to see that in that. Well,
you'll check it out. Well, it's a cool video.
In the group chat, in the hostage situation. Somebody's gonna have to cough that up.
Yeah. If anybody's listening to this right now, put it in the group chat. We'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Monica missed it.
I don't think he posted them on I didn't catch anything on Facebook.
No, they didn't go on Facebook.
I feel like that's something you wouldn't put on Facebook.
Yeah, well, there was enough. I didn't take a picture, certainly. I would have. I would have if I had my camera on me.
I want to say it was Krista, but I'm not for sure.
Okay.
I'm not for sure who's got that, but we really need to hit up everybody and get, okay, who's got it?
Yeah, that was Paul, he's a great sport about it. And he actually loved it, and I thought he would too. So it was very fun. It was a good time. Great show overall. So check out SNX and Paranormal Paul Rick Skinner, thank you so much, my friend.
Nice.
Pirate Crew Refreshment Fund. Well, hey, we can always use that on a Saturday nights.
It will
Or
get
VMR.
used.
Yeah, or it could be a VMR, I don't know, prescription refill.
Or prescription refill. Yeah.
VMR's butt fund.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, my butt fund. Thanks, Moon and Noon. Thanks to Moon and Noon as well, brother. Love you. Love all you guys.
I should say your hip fund. That's not fair.
My hip fund. Yeah, because I'm really hip. BMR is hip. Yeah. My coccyx fund.
Say that word. Coccyx.
Coccyx, right? Is it the coccyx?
I think it's a coccyx, yeah.
When I always confuse the coccyx, well, that's the coccyx, yeah.
Your clavicle.
The clavicle.
Coccyx.
What a nice, You know, the one words that I do have troubles with is saying the pineal gland. How do you say it? Is that how you say it?
I call it a pineal gland.
Pineal? Very good.
I've heard it pronounced so many different ways.
Yeah, it just depends on what doctor you're talking to and what language they're speaking.
Well, it's your third eye, which kind of makes sense.
Some call it pineal.
Pineal, yeah.
Pineal. I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, it's just an odd word.
Yeah, I mean, but those words crack me up, and I mean, it goes along with buttocks. It's just that word makes me crack up too. So,
butox. That's what I call them. Butox. I know how to pronounce them correctly. I mispronounced.
I got my butox shot in my lips the other day. Right.
You did?
Botox? No, hell no. Botox.
I was gonna say you take.
He feels like that when he takes one of those pills.
Yeah, I know. After the show, I'm definitely gonna take one.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and I blah blah blah. Because I only got I told Monica I only had like.
I got 6.
I only got 6. And I already ate 4.
Yeah, take them every 6 hours.
No, Monica, I overdid it after the show. Yeah.
Did you?
I did. I couldn't even talk, walk, or function properly. I zoned, and
it was coming on slowly during the show.
Yeah, I slowly started hitting me during the show. Then I was out of it. I went to bed. In fact, Brandi, I missed your show, and I always tune in on Thursday. I was zoned out, and I don't know what I was doing.
That's not a bad place to be when you're in pain, though. I mean,
yeah, no. 7:30, I was like, "Whoa, gone to the wind."
You would have fit right in. We were laughing and cutting up that night. Nobody had ever known. They would have never known. And I mean, Rob, you got to learn that 1 is good, 2 is not better. Okay.
No, well, I didn't. I'm not going to get into that. I need a refill.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what?
Mickey sent me Paul's photos.
Oh,
I just saw the blue underwear photos.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Mickey sent them to me. Oh, Paul. Thank you for keeping your pants on, though.
I must be tired or something. I can't. I'm crying at this point.
I mean, for those of you that haven't seen it, it's blue underwear over the cargo pants.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he just wasn't running around in blue underwear, and that was it.
I don't know. With our group, he couldn't.
Well, yeah, you don't. Honestly, you really don't.
I mean, I find that to be more of a Donnie Cho stunt, but I don't put it.
But it was in public. It was in public, so he left his pants on.
Okay. I didn't know if he was running from the porta potty to somewhere. I don't know what was happening. Somebody caught him mid scurry. I don't
know. Yeah, if I tell you what, I would post that video. I'm not good at downloading the video, so I screw that up for Paul. But yeah, I'll have to see the pictures that you guys sent, Monica.
To you. They're making the rounds now.
Yeah, you probably are
safe 6 months later.
Yeah.
Oh, Bryce says we need shirts of Paul's undie picture. Yeah, well, we actually need the one of like in that video where he's standing there doing one of these numbers in the cape and that's the shirt we need. That's the one we need, right?
Yeah. Well, Coley's video, he's in the cape, the blue underwear, and I
Oh
can't
my
doubt.
gosh! I just read the back of his underwear.
Oh yes, naughty. Yeah.
Oh, Paul.
I
It
could-
says that in the video.
I could get a copy and download it, but I can't do that. I'm inept at that. I need to prepare for that. But yeah, but it's just go check out the SNX show. It
Yeah.
was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for coming on in. You guys rock. You girls rock. And so I was looking for some bizarre news. You know, I kind of try to put this stuff together, try to be different every weekend for everybody. I'm going to say something. This show is going to be pretty good, but I will tell you what. I usually do 5, and we do have 5. But Monica, the last one, now I'm not going to divulge what the last one is, but it reminds me it's one of the places that you love to go to.
Oh.
And I'm trying to keep everybody in suspense so they don't leave the show. But the 5th one
It's one of 2 places. So
it's New Orleans.
I
It's New
figured that
We're
was
gonna
my
leave it at
first
that.
guess. Yeah.
We're going to leave it at that. Yeah. But I think they're all good. So I think it's going to be a good show. And thanks to everybody for coming on in. If you're new, please subscribe. Hit the like. Thanks for the Super Cats and the pirate memberships. You guys all rock as always. And again, donations not expected, always appreciated. I'm not on the pill yet, my lord. Here we go.
You should always be on the pill, Robbie.
Oh, please. Here we Monica, bizarre news. All right, here we go, everybody. Here's news item number 1 for the evening. Thanks again, one and all. This is the hide behind. It's called the hide behind.
Mhm.
Terror in America's logging camps. Filed as a historical paranormal report here. This takes place now. Again, bizarre news is not always current. I try to map it all over now because I just can't. I found that I cannot keep it current because you can't find a lot of current things every week. This is in the northern Wisconsin and Michigan pine forests. Now this dates 1887
Mm.
to 1912. And it goes on. In the closing years of the 19th century, when America's vast northern forests echoed with axes and falling timber, lumberjacks began whispering about something that followed them home, something they never quite saw. They called it the hide behind. And according to dozens of logging camp accounts, it hunted men who walked alone between the trees. And the first recorded mentions, one of the earliest documented references appears in an 1891 logging ledger discovered near Clam Lake, written by camp foreman Edgar Halverson. In a margin beside payroll entries, Halverson scribbled, quote, "Another man gone missing after dusk patrol. No tracks leaving camp. Men refuse to walk alone now." The missing logger was identified as Thomas Keene, age 27, last seen returning from the river trail carrying tools at sundown. Fellow lumberjack Isaac Morrow later told a regional newspaper, "You've heard branches move behind you, always just behind. Turn around, nothing. Walk again, it followed." Keene was never found. The creature that could not be seen, loggers described the hide behind with unsettling consistency despite claiming they never got a clear look at it. According to testimonies collected between 1895 and 1903, the creature moved silently through dense forests. It stayed perfectly hidden behind trees or obstacles. Victims reported overwhelming dread moments before disappearing. No clear tracks were ever recovered. Camp cook Margaret Leduc, one of the few civilian witnesses, described an encounter near Iron River in 1902. The men came running into camp before dark, grown men shaking. One said something peeked around a pine at him, but slid away faster than eyes could follow. That same night, logger Henrik Solberg vanished during a short walk to the latrine located less than 50 yards from camp. His lantern was later found upright, still burning. By the early 1900s, the hide behind had become an accepted danger among northern lumber crews working across Michigan's Upper Peninsula in northern Wisconsin forests. No worker traveled alone after sunset. Whiskey rations increased, oddly believed to repel the creature. Guards were assigned to watch tree lines at night. Historian Dr. Wallace Brenner, author of Timber Ghosts of the North Woods, explains the hide behind legend served two purposes. It explained disappearances and reinforced survival behavior. But what's unusual is how specific and consistent the descriptions remained across camps hundreds of miles apart. 1907, in the Prestigo account, perhaps the most chilling report comes from a logging operation outside Prestigo in winter of 1907. A camp doctor named Samuel Richter filed what many consider the closest thing to an official incident report. He writes, patient arrived in hysterics, claiming an unseen animal stalked him to the tree or went from tree to tree. Subject insisted creature repositioned itself whenever he attempted to look directly at it. The logger, Peter Janowski, suffered severe shock and refused to re-enter the woods again. Richter added a final note. Fear appears genuine, no evidence of intoxication. Between 1880 and 1910, logging records across the Great Lakes, the Great Lakes region documented numerous unexplained vanishings. While accidents were common, while accidents were common in the timber industry, several cases stood apart. It goes on to say tools abandoned mid-task, campsites undisturbed, no blood, no tracks, no animals, no signs of anything. Former park ranger Leonard Hayes, interviewed in 1974 regarding old logging records, stated, predators leave evidence. Falls leave bodies. These cases left neither. And in today's modern researchers that weigh in, cryptozoologist Dr. Elaine Mercado suggests the legend may represent an undiscovered predator adapted for stealth. If a large animal evolved to move laterally with tree cover, always repositioning, witnesses might genuinely never see it fully. And others disagree. A folklorist, Professor Dan Crown, argues the hide behind reflects psychological stress. Isolation, darkness, exhaustion, and danger created a shared fear. The creature became a shape for anxiety itself. Yet, Crow does admit one troubling detail. Folklore usually changes over distance. The hide behind descriptions did not. Really briefly, the most notable reference in 2018, hikers near Ottawa National Forest reported hearing footsteps matching their pace while seeing nothing behind them. One hiker told local investigators, quote, every time I turn around, it felt like something slipped behind another tree. Kind of like the 1800s. No animal actively was recorded by trail cameras that night. And they put in here a closing statement, whether myth, misunderstood, predator, or psychological survival tale, the hide behind remains one of America's most unsettling forest legends, a creature defined not by what was seen, but what could never quite be seen at all. I never heard about the hide behind before. I don't know if you two have. Monica, you have.
I don't remember that. No. Mm-mm.
I've heard of it before. Not a ton of information about it, but I had heard it mentioned here and there, and it's like back in the day. But it's not something that was really talked about a lot. It was just like an obscure something I read somewhere. They were talking about hide behinds. I think I was looking for like odd myths, odd in the woods. Like, but I was looking in the South. I wasn't looking in the North, because I don't really do a lot of research like online for Northern stories, or at least I didn't. I do now. I look everywhere, but back then I was concentrated mostly in the South. And I remember hearing about it. So it's interesting to me that that story comes out of the North Woods.
Yeah, well, I never heard it at all, and I was surprised to find reports dating to to Michigan's northern country.
Yeah, I mean, and that far back, now it's not like far back, but I mean,
Sure.
that's a decent amount of time that's gone by,
Mhm.
and I feel that, something that's obscure like that sticks around to today, right? Because the stories I were hearing were more modern. They weren't from 18 something or early 1900s.
hmm
They were more modern to the time when I was looking, maybe 8-9 years ago. So the fact that there are newspaper articles about it that date back that far is interesting. That lends more credibility to the stories that you're hearing in more modern days. Because I don't think that, everybody is necessarily looking up what's a hide behind. I mean, you guys had never heard of it. I just stumbled across it. I mean, it's a blip. I've heard of it. But not extensively, like I said. So, I mean, having those articles is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, what it's sounding like to me is it sounds like a big cat is basically what it sounded like to me. Just by the whole stalking, and they may not be looking up for the predator, they may be just looking straight ahead, and the predator is up above them. At the end there, when you were talking about the hikers were hearing footsteps, keeping up with them and following them. Well, if you've got more than two people, do you know if it was bipedal? Do you know if it, was on all fours? What are we exactly dealing with? It very well could be a big cat. I mean, that's what it's saying to me. That this may not be anything supernatural at all, but it may be a definite apex predator out there. Absolutely. And they're big enough where they can drag off a full grown human being, and you may never find them again, especially depending on what other kind of predators are out there, perhaps feeding on that after they've had their fill, So, it just all depends. I mean, it's not saying anything supernatural to me, though.
No.
Did they say anything about like sounds or I mean verbal, anything besides just the footsteps?
No, what I read is what I read. No, they didn't make any mention of that. I think I recall something about the one thing though, Brandy, that I found odd, or kind of little Bigfootery, if you will, is how the tracks disappeared. Do you remember that? Or there were no tracks around, which is kind of Bigfooty, I guess.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know, but
if you're dealing with a big cat, you need to look up and not necessarily straight or look on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, even when you're not, because I mean, they clearly weren't thinking big cats, so they're not looking up. But I think that anybody, I mean, we can't
and
do anything about what happened 100 and something years ago. But anybody going out now, I mean, we tend to look straight ahead. Kind of remember to look up. You're absolutely right, Brandi.
Yeah. And Brandi, you are right in the fact that one of you two can correct me if I'm wrong. Don't cats take their prey a lot of times up into a tree and they kind of leave it there for a while and come back and feast on it later?
Some do.
It would be real hard for a mountain lion to drag a full grown man up into a tree, I think.
Yeah. Unless unless he
was in pieces.
Unless he was,
I was trying to avoid
unless it was maybe a leg or an arm.
Maybe a
Yeah.
completely eviscerated man, but that would be a mess. When they went looking for him,
They
they'd
would
find something.
find. Yeah, and well, the odd thing about this, none of these men were found, so no remnants of any of these men's bodies.
Yeah, but how hard did they really look?
Probably
True.
not at all.
You know,
They were
I mean,
probably
once
petrified.
once the second one disappeared, they were probably like, forget that. I'm not going
Screw
out there.
that. I'm not going
No,
out there. Yeah.
No, you know, so they probably didn't really have the the time or the courage to go back out there and look for them. So
According to this, and I don't know if I buy this, they were consuming whiskey because that allegedly warded off the creature. I just think they needed an escape route.
I think
And
they just
went
didn't
to the
care
bottle.
after that. Yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, right.
They didn't care. They didn't care. You know. I mean, the only other thing that I can think of is Wendigo, perhaps. Something of that nature. I mean,
Wasn't in winter. I mean, again, traditional Wendigo tales. That doesn't fit the profile.
And aren't the Wendigo tails? They're flesh eaters too, though, right?
Yeah, but they're spirits. They're spirits that possess humans, right? That
right.
cause you to become a cannibal. But they, I'm not saying they only manifest in the winter, but you hear about them most in the winter.
Yeah, you do. Well, I don't know. It does not sound too supernatural to me.
I didn't get that take myself.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not hearing about the typical sounds that we're hearing with perhaps a cryptid or something like that, or something that says, "Ooh, that's supernatural," or "That's paranormal," or we're not getting any of that out of the story. So I think it's just a basic apex predator. So
yeah, or a dude that got drunk and lost in the woods.
There you go.
Well, gals, we've talked often once in a while about the missing 411, and we've often talked about outside of cryptids and the paranormal, just drunken people that have no business in the woods.
Yeah.
And I think if you're drinking, that doesn't help.
Well, the hunter stories. I know guys go out hunting. I know they don't drink while they're hunting, but when they go back to camp at night,
they do.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah, that they do. I'm sure that they do.
Not all of them, but yeah, I mean,
if you,
it's been known to happen.
It's been known to happen. If you like to consume a beer or two, you're going to do it after hunting. I get
imagine.
that. I'd imagine.
Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. This one doesn't seem scary. This seems like a natural something. Occurring happened.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that and again, in the forest, you come across all sorts of things, I would imagine, right? And who knows on this? And I didn't get the paranormal vibe. I got a little Bigfoot vibe just from some of it, but I thought that was interesting. Again, that's the first time I heard of it, so I thought it was cool to share it. Hey, Dick Richards. I can't type Dick Richards. I'm sorry, man. I guess it's a YouTube thing. I don't know.
If you type the @ symbol and start to type it, it will.
Is that how the people make you light up? I never knew that. @ then the name?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it'll auto-populate anybody whose name starts with the letters.
I've only been doing it for 4 years, and I never knew that.
Well, now you do.
There you go.
Hello to everybody I missed. Thanks for coming on and hit that like button. Okay, well, we'll put that one to bed. Here's news item number 2 for everybody. We've never done this before. Let's see where it goes.
Oh, boy.
Yes, the Mothman.
That's always fun. We've never done this before.
We've never done this for girls. It is late night, and it's the Mothman. Okay, here we go. This report takes us to the skyline and shadows of Chicago. A city known for its architecture, its wind, and lately something else. This is last year. Okay. For months now, residents across the south side have reported sightings of a towering winged figure humanoid in shape, with glowing red eyes cutting through the dark. Some are calling it what others have whispered before, the Mothman. This first report here from from the Calumet area. The most recent cluster of encounters centers around the industrial stretches near Calumet Park and the wetlands surrounding Lake Calumet. On the evening of January 14th, last year, not this prior January, warehouse supervisor Dan Rutiz was leaving a shift near 103rd Street when he noticed what he first thought was a massive tarp caught in the wind. It was perched on a light pole, as he states in a recorded statement. At least 7 feet tall, I saw shoulders, a chest, and wings folded behind it. When it turned its head towards me, the eyes were glowing red, not reflecting but glowing. Witness states the creature launched itself upward without flapping its wings. It just lifted straight up, he said, very silent. 2 other employees, Marissa Coleman and Tyrell Benton, corroborated the sighting. Coleman described a shadow that moved against the wind. Benton added, "You could feel it like static in the air. My phone glitched out right when it passed over us." Chicago police confirmed they received multiple calls that night reporting a large flying figure, though no official explanation had been given. A nearby trucking depot released grainy security footage showing a tall winged silhouette crossing the frame at 9:43 p.m. The footage shows what appears to be 2 glowing points of light where a head would be. Paranormal researcher Lionel Avery weighed in. Chicago has been a hotspot for winged humanoid sightings for years. What makes this different is the pattern. Industrial zones, rail yards, lakefront access points. These are transitional spaces or liminal zones. Avery stopped short of using the name Mothman, but acknowledged comparisons to the 1966, 1967 sightings and, of course, Mount Pleasant, right? Prior to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. And I believe that was what West Virginia it was, I think. It doesn't say here. I think that's what they're talking about. Yeah.
So, yeah.
We cannot ignore historical parallels, he said. Now, there was a follow-up after this was released several weeks later, according to this report here. And it says here, this is where the story escalates a little bit. It says here, 3 nights after the Calumet sighting, a couple driving southbound along Interstate 57, just outside Chicago city limits near farmland beyond Kankakee, reported a violent aerial encounter. Jason and Emily Kessler were returning from visiting family. It was 11:18 p.m. It came out of nowhere, Emily said, her voice shaking during an interview. We saw this massive shape swoop down in front of the headlights. The wingspan, God, is stretched wider than the road. Jason estimates at least 12 to 14 feet across. It banked hard and disappeared over the field. I thought that was it. Then it came down on us. According to Jason, the creature descended directly onto the roof of their SUV. There was a slam. The whole vehicle dropped like someone landed on it from above. The windshield cracked across the top. Emily described what she saw through the sunroof glass. It crouched. It had long legs, bent backward. The eyes were right there above us, bright red, and it tilted its head like it was studying us or looking in and peering at us. Then came what they describe as the most terrifying moment. Jason. It dug its hands or claws or whatever into the roof rack. The front end of the SUV actually lifted. I felt the tires lose contact for a second. The steering wheel went light, or the steering went light. Emily screamed as the vehicle tilted, and then it shrieked. She said, "It wasn't like a bird, it was a metallic like steel grinding." The creature reportedly lost grip and was thrown backward when Jason accelerated as the car gained traction. In the rearview mirror, he saw it rise vertically again, no wing beats, just a smooth, unnatural ascent. It hovered, he said, watching, and then it swooped off into the night. Quickly from the Illinois State Police documented the incident. Photographs showed deep indentations in the roof and claw-like scoring along the roof rack. No known animal in the region could account for the marks. Wildlife officials ruled out cranes, eagles, and even sandhill cranes, citing size discrepancies. A local mechanic, Harold Jensen, examined the vehicle. "I've worked on storm damage, fallen trees. This wasn't that. The metal is compressed inward like something heavy landed and gripped." The Kesslers have since installed security cameras at their rural home in fright. "We don't go outside after dark anymore. I just cannot." And then it goes on here. We don't have to get into this. Talking about, the Mothman. What is it? This, that, and the other. Some theorists suggest an undiscovered species, this interdimensional. This one, Dr. Avery, really quick, I'll bring this up. Historically, Mothman sightings are often interpreted as harbingers, not attackers, observers. But if this Chicago entity attempted to lift a moving vehicle, that suggests escalation. Residents of Chicago continue to scan the skies, blah, blah, blah. I'll just go really briefly first, and of course, throw it at you guys. I've definitely heard of Mothman in Chicago, Illinois. I've heard of the Mothman actually on the Sears Tower. I've heard it in the city, the downtown areas. A couple perhaps out in the backwoods areas surrounding Chicago. But I don't think I've ever heard of such an incident where it swooped down trying to lift a car.
No, I mean, in the original Point Pleasant, like sighting clusters back in the day, it followed there were some people in a car that it chased down the road, but I don't remember them saying that it had attempted to lift the car, which is interesting. And there's damage to the car, but I mean, they talked about denting to the car, but were there puncture wounds where it was able to grab? It said that it was dented.
It made the dent I don't get, but it said it made mention of a grabbing type indentation.
Yeah, but what's a grabbing type indentation on the roof of a car? What does that look like?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think a mechanic is a forensics.
I mean, that's pretty taut steel. I imagine if it's denting in a, it would bunch, which would cause perforation somewhere. I would assume. I don't know. I think it's the creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
I will tell you what, man.
Because that's what I was thinking the whole time you were describing.
Man, you know what? I did see that movie.
You did?
I did.
They described the creeper.
The one out of the two that he's ever seen. It was that one.
Right.
Yeah. I saw 1 and 2 actually.
Yeah. I like the second one pretty well.
Creeper Jeepers. Yeah.
Creeper Jeepers. That's it.
Yeah. That was Jeepers Creepers. That gave me the creeps a little bit.
All
now
right.
you bring that movie up, it just kind of sounds a little like that, right?
Yeah.
To me, I'm gonna say it sounds like a Thunderbird.
Ooh.
If you want to get down to it, it sounds like a Thunderbird. Because I have heard encounter stories where they've landed on people's houses, and they have tore up some stuff, and it's behavior where they kind of swoop down, and then because they are so huge that it's just one flap of the wing and they're gone. It's not like they have to gain momentum to get anywhere. It's just like they're just gone. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. But if you want to look on the other side, the paranormal side of it, like it may be Mothman. Well, we know that Chicago's been plagued by tragedy, and it's just been ongoing. We've talked about this on other shows, like the I think it's called the Nederlander Theater. Okay. where it used to be the Iroquois Theater, where it burned and killed over 600 people in this one single structure. Now, unfortunately, that number held as the number one single structure tragedy, the number one, until 9/11 hit. So that just tells you how many people, were actually killed in this building. But then, you had the mob there, and then you had, other things that are happening. Of course, there is Resurrection Mary, I think is her name. And I mean, you have all of these things going on in Chicago. The place is haunted, everybody. If you want to go and find some haunting, Chicago's where to go. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So could I see Mothman hanging out there? Sure. Absolutely. 100%. I can see that happening. But my bet's on the Thunderbird. That's, because there's many sightings up and through there. So that's where I'm that's my guess on it. Because I mean, a lot of the Mothman sightings, I think they're misidentified. I think we're dealing with more of a Thunderbird than we are, more of the Harbinger thing. So that's my personal opinion.
I hear you there. I think some of the people, the ones that I'm really familiar with, though, you guys, are the ones in downtown Chicago, Sears Tower, hanging out. Somebody said, I think one of you girls posted it, someone said gargoyle. That kind of, reminds me, it's kind of.
I mean, if we think of the 1970s made-for-TV movie Gargoyles, that fits the bill.
That fits the bill. But going back to, I seen that. You guys put that
or
up
the
there.
Ghostbusters movie.
But the Mothman, though, I think they've really seen something that fits kind of the description of hanging out the Sears Tower, right?
Yeah. I mean, but they're talking about the wingspan and things like that. We're not really getting detailed into, the face of it or anything like that.
We're really
not. So that's why I'm leaning towards that a little bit more.
I can see your point there. My thing I don't get, though, is like we're talking about, I don't think the Thunderbird would attempt to lift your car, right? Do you think that?
I would swing that way more than I would the Mothman. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, a bird of prey, if it's large enough, I could see it trying to grab up something.
Yeah.
But it's got talons. It's going to hook into the car to lift it up.
Yeah, unless it didn't get a good grab. Unless it didn't get a good grab and just dented.
I don't think it would dent, but it would pull it, and you would see the inside metal upwards, extended upward, not dented inward, right?
Right.
It was trying to lift.
I mean, just saying that they saw indentations that were consistent with a grabbing motion doesn't tell me anything.
So if it went like this, and then the talons went down, they would dig down into it, perhaps. But then again, I mean, if the vehicle's moving.
Yeah, the metal's scraping.
Yeah,
right?
if the vehicle's moving, it would show scratches of some sort.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I
don't think they were attacked by Mothman. That's not the way I'm leaning on that, because it's more of a warning thing. They are. I don't think that they would attack anyone. They might scare the
I think that they chase
out of
people
you
and scare them, because they did do that in the first round, right? The Point Pleasant clusters, right? They chased more than one couple, I believe.
Right.
Or one car, I should say, because I think one car had two couples in it. But I mean, I could see Thunderbird. I could see a smaller Thunderbird, because the Thunderbirds, like of Native American legend, those things are honking, like way bigger than what these people are describing. So maybe a smaller Thunderbird, like a juvenile Thunder, who's curious and just checking stuff out,
Yeah. I mean,
and
or a pterosaur, some sort of pterosaur.
Well, maybe. And the Thunderbird. And the Thunderbird is huge, correct?
Yeah, they've got like 40-foot wingspans. You're not going to mistake that for. You'll be like, there's a small aircraft landing. in the road.
That
Well,
actually makes more sense what Monica just said. That it could be a pterosaur.
Yeah, no, I think
That makes more
that
sense.
makes more sense than the Mothman. And just like I was just reflecting back, remember I told you guys about that huge winged bird that flew down the creek and the wingspan almost
Yeah.
was as long as the 8 feet width of the creek?
Mhm.
And it had the talons and it picked up the carp. Remember I told you guys that? I
Uh-huh.
think it was last week even.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now that we're getting off the Mothman, it probably might have been a predatorial bird of prey.
Yeah.
More so than the legendary Mothman.
It's probably the legendary Thunderbird.
I
Or
like
something close to it. Maybe the pterosaur. Could be.
Pterosaurs.
And the pterosaurs are around. Our very own Jason
There we get,
McLean.
yeah,
He
stories.
He's seen them. And Jason, Jason, he's
he gets his emotions.
something he talks about, he gets emotional about.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Somebody in chat is kind of interesting. Somebody, I think it was Fallen, I don't remember, mentioned possibly the New Jersey Devil. Well, that's quite odd that he mentioned that because news item number 3 is about the New Jersey Devil. Yeah, how about that? See how that plays?
How about them?
And I liked how we worked through that. We put on our investigative caps, and that's why I like doing these, because you just talk through these things. And we went from Mothman to, I think, a bird of prey, perhaps a pterosaur. I like that.
Works.
Cryptid hunters stumble on something worse than Bigfoot. That's what they say in the Pine Barrens.
Of course.
Sure. There's a lot worse than Bigfoot.
Yeah,
In the Pine Barrens.
Bigfoot.
Anywhere.
I'll never say Bigfoot's a friendly force giant. You guys know me, but yeah, many more things I'd rather come across a normal Bigfoot.
You mean the happy ones that gift you things?
The one is supposedly is so nice and plays with your children, Monica.
Yeah.
Babysit
and
them for
happiness.
you. The ones that babysit for you.
The ones that you leave peanut butter and apples, and they leave you rocks and
sing me a
flowers.
song on that. Don't buy it. February 28th of 2025. Burlington County, New Jersey, a routine Bigfoot search expedition turned into what experts are calling the most unnerving cryptid encounter in American history. Okay, nice play on words there, Mr. Writer. The team of amateur cryptozoologists that set out expecting hair samples and footprints instead reported an encounter with the legendary New Jersey Devil, but not the folklore figure they anticipated.
Okay.
We came for Sasquatch. We found okay, I like this. We came for Sasquatch and we found hell itself.
Oh,
These
guys, Sasquatch, but we found hell.
Yeah, these guys
a
want
little bit of drama there.
These guys want their clicks. Well, I clicked. Yeah. The expedition.
Okay, well, they got you, didn't it?
Yeah, they got me all right. The expedition led by Dr. Lionel Lyon Bexley, of 47 years old, a self-proclaimed cryptid researcher from Reno, Nevada, and founder of the North American Cryptid Institute, NACI. Alongside him were Tammy Ruiz, 29, a field tracker and drone specialist. Zeke Harrow, 53, a veteran wilderness survivalist. And Jenny Park, 22, a bioacoustics analysis. So some young people in here.
Mm-hmm. They got to get their feet wet somewhere.
Yeah, they sure got to start somewhere. We zeroed in on an anomalous wood knocks and tree breaks, classic Bigfoot signals, Bexley told reporters. But then our audio sensors picked up something that defies everything we knew. It wasn't bluff knocks, it was screams. Moving on. The team recorded a sequence of audio that has now been shared with independent analysts. And there's some mumbo science stuff in here. All this frequency range. I don't know what these mean. It talks about a 2.1 to 2.4 hertz
Mhm.
pitch sound, a
Mhm.
900 to a 1 point KHZ, which was
Oh,
followed by a
mhm.
low guttural growl. You guys know this.
Yes. Okay.
A 23.21 variable unidentifiable sound pitched between animal and machine. Tammy played the last recording for investigators. It changed when the wind shifted, it almost sounded like words. I don't know about that, but not in any language we know. Tracking evidence, not Bigfoot, not bear, was something else. In a clearing, the team documented impressions unlike any known animal. Footage taken on the night vision cameras did reveal a three-toed claw-like indentations, strange symbol-like marks on tree bark, a faint sulfur smell in the air. Zeke Harrow stated, "We've tracked cougar and bears and even mountain goats before. This was something not right. They were too sharp and too deliberate." Burlington County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Deputy Mariah Langdon confirmed the team's involvement. We received panic calls citing a large airborne entity. Our patrols investigated. We have no confirmed sightings, but we cannot dismiss what the researchers reported. And this Langdon later added, "To say we're taking this seriously would be an understatement." Nearby ranger stations reported a spike in unusual calls, including reports of, again, with his glowing red eyes seen at dusk and sounds that shook the forest. Academia plays in here. Dr. Kendra Whitcomb, folklore professor at Rutgers, told the Herald Scientific Review, "The New Jersey Devil is a storied legend, but if there is valid evidence, audio, physical, or prints, this demands some sort of scientific scrutiny." Meanwhile, a cryptozoologist, Aaron Gilchrist, chimes in, an author of Hidden Beasts of North America, caution, cryptid research thrives on evidence. Right now, yeah, I know. Right
Yeah.
now, shivering hearsay isn't enough, but this data is intriguing. And these experts are requesting some information. Back last year, they'd like permission for drones to fly with FLIR imaging in the area. They would requested a night vision spectrum analysis that they could conduct, and of course, soil and air samples from discovery sites. I would do that without permission myself. I don't care about that.
Sure.
And really briefly, what's next? The team plans to return within a few weeks with a thermal imaging rig, new audio equipment to really investigate this even further. One last note: a team member says, "This is not hype. This is history in the making.
Sure.
Whatever we encountered, it wasn't a Bigfoot. It might be the thing that inspired the legend of the New Jersey Devil, and now the world will know."
Sure.
On that note, you guys debate that or talk about, because I'm going to stretch my hip, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Go ahead, Monica. What do you think?
I think that people need to stop citing what did they call it? Not indentations, but impressions in the ground as tracks, because they're not. They're nothing unless you cast it and pull it out. Otherwise, it's a weird mark in the ground. That's not evidence of anything other than a strange gouge in the side of a hill. Cast it, and pull it out. Because if you're a real researcher, you've got casting material on you. Cast it, pull it out, clean the cast, and if you have a track, say I have a track. Don't say I have an indentation.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't make
stone
any
that
sense.
turned over, whatever.
You can have my footprint in there and say, I have an indentation. Well, it's my foot.
It's a scuff mark. I mean, but if it was your foot, yeah, it's not a clear track. It's not that. I have a real hard time. I have a real problem with that.
Right. Well, I think they're kind of off track here. We've talked about this extensively about the Jersey Devil, the New Jersey Devil, and we've also talked to similarities to the Beast of Javana. So what we're thinking is as much as we've talked about it and everything that has happened and going all over the accounts and encounters, that it could possibly be a werewolf or dogman like entity. That, and that that they're claiming it's this something otherworldly, but it is a cryptid that we talked about quite a bit. I'm kind of leaning towards that it's going to be a dogman in that area.
Yeah, more so than the Jersey Devil. I mean, I know people, the traditional Jersey Devil, I'm not buying. People say they see weird things. They've seen something winged on the roof. I think that people who were claiming they saw strange things on rooftops or in trees, they saw something.
They did. Oh,
I don't think it was the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, and I mean,
in traditional sense.
I mean, if you've ever seen the Pine Barrens, gotta look at them. They are creepy.
Sure.
And do you think that these things could, in the right moonlight, sunlight, whatever, cast these crazy shadows and everything going through there? Absolutely can. It is thick and it is creepy, and it will, like I said, it could make you perceive something that really isn't there, or perceive something as, something completely that it isn't.
Yeah.
So I would say we may be dealing with dogman. Now, I know like a couple years ago, the Pine Barrens caught on fire. I want to say 1 to 2 years ago, I know it caught on fire, and I don't know the extent of the damage. Could that have made some of these cryptids living in the area move to different areas? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're not going to hang out and burn. Yeah.
Exactly. So is this why they're encountering strange markings, because, basically these things are marking their new territory. That's what they're doing. Yeah. So could they have run across this? Now, you said this was last year, 2025,
2025, right? Yes.
Okay, so that makes sense. So as they're establishing their new areas, of course, they're going to market. And I would think that would be part of all of that. I don't think they're dealing with Bigfoot, or
the Jersey Devil. No.
Or the Jersey Devil. I think that they may be dealing with the dogman for sure.
My quick take on that was this, and I didn't hear what half what you guys said when I did my thing. I'm not buying the Jersey Devil take. I think they probably saw something, like most people have seen something. I don't know what. I mean, Brandy's suggesting the dogman. I would believe the dogman more so than the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
You guys were nodding your heads. I noticed when I put out those frequencies that they captured on their equipment. I don't know what that means to you guys.
Well, what it does is it determines something that is a natural sound and something that isn't quite natural. Basically, it in the megahertz scale of things. Yeah. So it will kind of define, like when I'm listening to audio. Well, I have it on a graph, and anything that shoots above or below normal, or maybe even a little thicker and underlying in the middle, I will take a special look at those, because those are not normal sounds that, like humans make, or like a regular dog or something. That is just something that could be supernatural. That isn't just quite a level of what we would use as a tone. So that, you got to look for all of that stuff. So when you were talking about that, I understood. But like I said, well, of course you're going to hear like these howls and growls and things, and they're not going to fall within normal levels. So yeah, they're going to stand out. I think, like I said, I really do think we're dealing with dogmen in this instance, because like I said, is that a great place for them to hang out? Absolutely.
Sure.
It may be some of the Pine Barrens, I think maybe be a little bit too dense for Bigfoot, just saying, because there's it is, the forest is so dense that it's hard to even get through. So I would think that with a dogman being a slimmer type body, and just would be able to catch prey and things easier within that type of environment. But that's just me again. It's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm guessing out there.
Again, that's why we do these. We break them down. Some of them are really we can get into, and some are like, yeah, we don't know. But somebody asked in the chat room, which I do not know. Somebody asked, I forgot who it was. Is the Jersey Devil? I forget. Just reported in New Jersey, and I've never heard of the Jersey Devil
Barons, to
reported
be
anywhere else.
exact. Yeah,
I haven't heard of it outside of the Barons.
Yeah. Well, we have two more to get through, which I think you guys really like. I find fascinating, especially that last one. Everybody, thanks for coming on in. Really quickly, though, thanks to Amy. Thanks to Amy. Thanks to Coley. Thanks to Rick. Thanks to Moon.
Thanks, Moon.
And thanks to Mickey, who was not feeling well, I understand. Thank you.
She went to bed.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey.
Love you guys. Thanks for the love and support.
Woohoo!
Always appreciated. And we're going to move on with this next one. And here's something that now I know that, actually, these are both fashion. One is kind of, you're both are knowledgeable. Well, one, this is in Brandi's wheelhouse with the paranormal. Yeah, because it's a little ghost investigation, it looks like. And here we go. Yeah. We thought it was the house, but it wasn't. Worcester County, Massachusetts. Or is that? It says
Worcester.
Is that Worcester? What says W-O-R-S?
Worcester County.
Is that Worcester?
It's Worcester County.
Worcester, W-O-R-S-C.
It's not pronounced the way it's spelled.
That's messed up. Now that I did not know. Thank you. I'm not faking you on that one. I'm not. Worcester County, Massachusetts.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Like Worcestershire sauce.
Mm.
Yeah, this is in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Oh, Massachusetts. What began as minor annoyances in a quiet colonial home has now followed one New England couple across state lines, leaving paranormal investigators divided and the homeowners unwilling to speak on camera. Daniel and Marissa Whitcomb purchased their 1894 Colonial on the outskirts of Gardner in the fall of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
The house sat on a wooded area not far from Dunn State Park. Nothing dramatic, no tragic lore attached to the property deed, no sensational history. It creaked like any old house, Daniel Whitcomb told local reporters in a recorded interview earlier this year. Radiators knocking, floorboards shifting. We expected that. For the first 6 months, the incidents were explainable. Cabinet doors slightly ajar, a basement light left on, the faint smell of cigar smoke in the upstairs hallway. And I remember, through neither of them, though neither of them smoked.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't threatening, Marissa said. If anything, it felt like someone else was living around us quietly. The first escalation in February of 2019, things shifted. Daniel awoke at 3:12 a.m. to what he described as measured footsteps circling their bed. Not random, he emphasized, intentionally, someone pacing. Marissa reported feeling pressure on the mattress beside her, as though someone had sat down. When Daniel switched on the lamp, the indentation slightly rose. They installed cameras. For 3 weeks, there was nothing. Then on March 3rd, their dining room camera captured audio at 2:47 a.m., a single phrase, low and distinct, but audible when amplified. An audio technician by the name of Paul Rivard, who reviewed the file, described it as structurally human speech. He would not speculate beyond that. The Whitcombs made no public claims of ghosts at that time. Instead, they contacted a regional paranormal research team based in Leominster, the Merrimack Valley Paranormal Collective. The lead investigator, Aaron Caldwell, spent 2 nights in the home. We documented cold spots, Culver stated in her case summary, but old houses draft. We recorded 2 anomalous sounds, but houses settle. At that stage, nothing definitive. Then a physical disturbances began. Marissa Whitcomb displayed photographs to investigators showing 3 parallel scratches across her upper back. I bruise easily, she admitted, but this wasn't a bruise. Daniel began experiencing what he described as episodes, waking unable to move, sensing someone standing in the doorway. Sleep paralysis was suggested, but on April 18th, both reported seeing the same thing, a figure at the end of the hallway, tall, Daniel said, not solid, but not shadow either. It was darker than the dark. Mm. Caldwell's team returned during a live EVP session. Investigators asked, "Do you want them here?" That was a question. A loud bang came from the upstairs bedroom, captured on 3 separate audio devices. The Wickhams moved out 2 months later. They're in their second house. In 2021, the couple relocated to a newer home outside Brattleboro, built in 2004. No prior deaths, no folklore, a clean inspection. For 2 years, nothing, Marissa said. They told no neighbors about Gardner, the prior place. They sought no further investigations. Life started to get normal until December of 2024. The cigar smell returns. Daniel initially dismissed it until their carbon monoxide detectors were checked and ruled out environmental causes. On January 11th of 2025, their kitchen motion light activated at 3:12 a.m., the same time as the original pacing incident in Massachusetts. Security footage again showed no intruder. Then came a voice, this time clearer. Captured on a baby monitor they used for white noise, a male voice whispers, "Still here." The couple contacted a Vermont-based investigative group. Lucas Howell, or Harrow, approached the case cautiously, and he goes on to say when phenomena follow individuals between properties, Harrow explained, we have to consider attachment cases. That's different from local base hauntings. Harrow's team conducted 3 overnight investigations with the stuff we're all familiar with: equipment malfunctions, REM pod activations, spikes in EMF, this, that, and the other. And later on, an audio anomaly, later reviewed by 2 independent analysts, appeared to respond, not the house. Harrow declines to classify the case publicly. I can't prove this is paranormal, but I can't dismiss the consistency of the case. And it goes on, and eventually everything seemed to dissipate, and the couple still lives here, but wondering if it's ever going to return again. Yeah, I don't know, Brandi or Monica. What's your take on it? It's interesting. I don't know.
It doesn't sound to me like the investigations were thorough enough, because you're talking about the same typical haunting from one house to another. So we've probably determined that it's not the property, so we can just cross that off the list. So we're going to base it on it's either something they have in their possession that they have moved from one property to another, or we could have an attachment of some sort to one of the people involved. It doesn't sound to me like they did a good enough investigation to find out what that is, and that includes isolating. So if you think that the attachment is to some of the people in the house, well, you need to isolate them. You need to take the one person, leave them in the house and be with them in the house, and send everybody off somewhere else and see if anything happens. I don't think they took enough time to really determine, if it was a person. And of course, the other thing with, we've talked about antiques and family heirlooms and, things like that. It doesn't sound like to me that they even checked any of that out. So I think the investigation was lacking a little bit to determine exactly what it was. They have something, especially when you're hearing voices, you're smelling the same scents and things like that. They have something going on. They just need the right people to get it to happen. Now, when they moved from the old house to the new house, they didn't have anything happen for about 2 years. You want to know why? Because they didn't tell anybody about it. They didn't talk about it. They didn't give this thing any energy to manifest. So of course it lay dormant in there until it's like, surprise, I got enough energy. Hey, how are you now? And I think that's what happened there. They probably stopped talking about it again, just to get it to go away. Which is the right thing to do. If you have something in your home that you don't want happening, just ignore it. That's the best way to make it go away. So, but I do believe they have something going on. I just believe that they could have had a better investigation to figure out exactly and pinpoint what it was.
Yeah, because it started there, right? They didn't have anything prior to moving into this house. So something new was introduced, either into the home, right? Via antique, garage sale, whatever, right? So it's either that or somebody went somewhere, went to a graveyard, went to
Goodwill,
haunted house, could have gone anywhere. And it attached to that. So yeah, I mean, I agree with Brandi that they need an investigative team that's going to, it's probably a little late now, but the initial investigative team should have like drilled down on, okay, when did this start occurring? What was new? Where did you go? Like a timeline of locations that all the family members have gone to, as well as what did you bring into the house? Did you bring any dishes? I mean, people don't think about that. Little tiny things.
No, right. Yeah.
House.
Yeah. It's kind of like, did you have any relatives who smoke cigars? You know, or can you ask your mother? Can you ask your grandmother? Can you ask, anybody that, do they remember anybody who smoked cigars? Or, I mean, it's just the little things that they weren't digging into. And, I mean, it could have helped a lot. It helped the family. It really could have. I mean,
once it's clear that there's a legitimate spirit there, that there's a legitimate energy, there's a legitimate claim happening here.
Yeah, if something's talking to me through a baby monitor, I'd be like, okay.
No. I mean, you can, so you can get, so baby monitors do pick up different frequencies. So you can get things. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into the baby monitor alone, which, I mean, it would creep me the hell out. Don't get me wrong.
But
I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. But, there's so much more that can be done. And I think a lot of people have this notion that when you do a real deep, like if you're trying to help a family paranormal investigation, that it's just, you come in with all this equipment and you scan this and you sit there and monitor. That's not always it. You got to go down and pull up records on the house. You got to go pull up records on the land. You got to start digging into the family. Like Brandi said, just zeroing in. There's a lot of work that goes into it, more than just like what you see on TV or what you see in movies.
Yeah. You're not going to find out in 45 minutes. It's a long process.
And it's not a one night wham bam. Yeah, you got ghost by. Because you can't really prove anything in one night. It's a series of evenings. Like you've got to replicate happenings. Just because you have something weird happen one time, well, you happen to be present, or nothing happens because they don't want to do anything that night. You've got to continue. Like it's a long, drawn out process.
Yes. And it takes many months, seriously, to start narrowing things down to what the possible cause is. And a lot of people say, well, it's the house settling. If your house is 150 years old, it's done settling.
It's done did settle.
Okay, now I will say my house is well over 100 years old and it moves because I'm pier and beam, 120-year-old pier and beam. The house literally breathes. and
Yeah.
it does
But
creak. And
you know what a normal house sound is.
no, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. Like that's why I know that what I heard come into my house that night that people have heard that screeched through. I mean, it was circling my house,
Mhm.
and then somehow it got into the house and was screeching down the hall. That's not my house. That's not my
No.
HVAC system.
Nope.
My HVAC system doesn't circle the exterior of my house making crazy
Right.
noise.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
100%, you know.
Yeah, your house is already settled, but now it makes its own sounds, but you get used to them and you know the sounds they
Yeah.
make. It's like I know the sounds mine make. So, and I can distinguish what is mine and what is not mine. And these people should have known that. They lived in that house long enough that they should have known or been able to tell them what noises were normal house sounds and what weren't.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they asked the right questions. I don't.
Whoever was doing the initial investigation didn't.
Yeah,
they're so busy trying to catch the evidence that they're not opening their eyes to look for it.
Well, I will say, I'm going to go back on what you both were saying. I think it was a shabby investigative team. I don't think they give them any information worthy.
Mm-mm.
I also think that there was an attachment to follow them, but you made the great point. And it's the funny thing, it's not even, they probably on happenstance got rid of this entity by themselves, but by not giving it the energy that it needed. And you would think Paranormal Team 101, Brandi, would probably tell them that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, especially if you're dealing with something that's transient, which this doesn't seem to be the case. But if it was something transient that's just coming by to say hello, hey, you look nice. You can hear me, you can see me. I'm going to stay a while, and but if you don't give them that energy and you don't pay attention to them, they get bored and they move on. But there's other things that Monica and I were talking about things that have it's not an attachment. It's more like a hitchhiker. They're just kind of going along for the ride and seeing what's happening.
Yeah, and just because you have a paranormal experience or a ghost in your house doesn't necessarily mean it's going to follow you either, correct? Once you leave one location, let's say you had a haunted
necessarily. I mean, they're bound sometimes to a location. They're bound to an object. It depends.
It depends.
Yeah,
I've heard you talk. Go ahead. Sorry, Monica. Go.
It seems like it's not bound to that house or location specifically, since it followed him to the next one.
Yeah, it's bound to something that they moved or to one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because Brandi, you often talk about entities just being at one location, this, that, and the other, just like the place in Missouri, right? The ghosts there are just there in Missouri, in St. Louis, or not? Well, outside St. Louis.
Well, even in my house, there's nothing. There's no tragedy that happened in my house. The people who built my house are still alive to this day because I did check that. That's I was doing my own investigation in my house without trying to. So basically, this is something that's come along with me. This is something that I've brought in and that I've brought. And, because of, what we do, we go out there and look for ghosts and other things. I'm going to bring it home. I mean, as much as I try not to, it's going to happen. I mean, you're going to slip up. It's going to happen. But then, there are other things here that are more familiar. Their activities are familiar to me, like family, their mannerisms, things like that happen in my home that it could possibly be, but I don't believe a single spirit out there. I mean, they could tell me that they're Sam and they're John, you know what I mean? So I don't believe a word in anything, but they have the same mannerisms like a family member who has passed away.
Right.
So I would like to believe that. I don't think it's my sweet old grandma. I'm just telling you all that. I don't think it's my sweet old grandma.
No.
I'm just saying that they have the same mannerisms. So I would like to think that. I don't believe it, but I'd like to think that.
You like to think it and you don't believe it.
Yeah. So I mean, they got something. They got something.
They got something. Yeah. Half-ass investigation. They weren't given good facts, and I don't think they dropped the ball in several areas. You
Yeah.
both said that. And
Yeah.
something definitely going on.
Yes.
We are going to move on to the last one. And I must say that, yes, this is
all for Monica.
Well, it's not all for Monica, but when I started reading this, you guys, my favorite topic in the world ain't even cryptids. It's vampires.
Ah, there we go.
I don't
Vampire
now
guy.
listen. Hey, now
Yeah.
listen, you guys. I like this. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna give you my thoughts right now.
Okay.
Number one, it's entertaining, and I don't know because I've never been to New Orleans, and we have our in-house expert of New Orleans with us tonight.
Yeah, because me and Monica have our own thoughts about a lot of things when it comes to vampires.
Both. That's why I love us three when we do this. Everybody's got their own thought process. We have different experiences and takes on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when I kind of thought this was a vampire tale, I said, I don't care. I'm going to do it. So we're going to do this.
Robbie don't care.
Robbie's here
Dang
for
it,
the
Bobby,
Bobby's here for the peoples.
There you go.
He's here for the lore.
The lower. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, here we go. The couple at the bar.
Oh, no.
Another good item.
Jesus. There we go.
Not at all. New Orleans, Louisiana, winter of 2026.
What?
New Orleans, Louisiana, winter of 2026.
So that was what, January, February?
That has to
I was
be
going to say last month. Was that last month?
That has to be a typo.
Yeah.
When I typed it, I'm gonna look back here.
Or they should have just said January or February or something. Not winter.
Winter is like now.
Okay.
So
I just had to clarify that part because I was like, when was that again?
Hey, listen, this is what it says here, but
New Orleans last week.
New Orleans last week.
And we're what is today? February. Well, we're March 1st is tomorrow. Maybe January.
It probably into January because that's when all that snow and storm and everything came through.
Yeah.
So it's got to be about that point right there, which is right at the end of January. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, but I'm presenting it as it's written. I don't change the narrative.
Okay.
I don't mix up anything. And of course it says it's a Michigan couple, which again, boom, Michigan.
Boom, Michigan.
There we go.
Trust me, you can't make this stuff up. Okay. A Michigan, it's got all the elements. A Michigan couple says their romantic getaway to New Orleans has left them questioning whether they encountered something far older than the city itself. Well, la-di-da. Ethan and Marissa Caldwell of Grand Rapids checked into the historic, that's why I'm glad you're here, Hotel Monteleone.
Monteleone.
Thank you.
I'm going there soon. I almost booked at that hotel.
Okay, good. A famous hotel, a hotel famous for its revolving carousel bar and decades of celebrity guests.
I think there's even a speakeasy in there. Yes.
Very nice. Oh, another point's up my alley. It felt perfect, Marissa said. Old world charm, dim lights, jazz drifting in from somewhere. It was exactly what you picture.
It's a beautiful hotel.
So, all right, great. Sounds good. That first night, just before 10 p.m., the couple went down to the hotel's famed carousel bar and lounge for cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they saw them. They were sitting across from us, Ethan recalled, a man and a woman, pale. Like not sick pale, marble pale, and they were dressed wrong. Wrong how, what they throw in there. Like they stepped out of the 1800s, Marissa said. Not costume party wrong, just dated. His suit was dark and narrow, high collar. Hers was long, black lace at the wrists. No one else was dressed like that. At first, the Caldwells assumed they were part of one of the city's theatrical ghost experiences. Perhaps actors from the Haunted History Tours, one of the city's well-known paranormal tour companies. They didn't drink, Ethan added. They just sat there watching.
Hmm.
After several minutes, the pale couple approached their table. According to Marissa, the woman spoke first. She said, "You're not from here. We can always tell." Her voice was soft, but it was carried like it was right in my ear, Marissa says. The man introduced himself as Lucian Devereaux. The
Oh, wow.
woman smiled. Yes, how about
Lucian Devereaux.
Yes, how about that?
Oh,
The
New
woman
Orleans.
smiled and said her name was Isolde, ISOLD, ISOLDE, Isolde,
Oh,
Is-
Isolde. Isolde.
Isolde,
I think
Isolde,
it's Isolde. Isolde.
Isolde,
So Esol or something like
Isolde,
that.
Isolde.
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
Isolde, I guess. They never blinked much, Ethan said. And when Lucian took my hand, it was ice cold. I mean, ice cold. The exchange lasted no more than 5 minutes. They asked where we'd be tomorrow, Marissa said. We told them we booked a cemetery tour. They smiled at each other when we said that. Before leaving, Lucian allegedly leaned in and said, "We'll be seeing you." The Caldwells laughed it off, assuming immerse theatrics or theater until the next morning. They had booked a walking tour through the French Quarter and a visit to St. Louis Cemetery Number 1, one of the city's most historic burial grounds,
Okay.
known for its above ground tombs and centuries of old vaults. Their licensed guide, Rene Baptiste, confirmed the couple appeared visibly shaken mid tour. We were walking past a 19th century family crypt, Baptiste told local reporters, and the woman just froze. Carved into the aging stone, Lucien Devereaux, born 1821, died 1858. Beneath it, etched into the same family vault, Isolde Devereaux, born 1824, died 1858. They thought it was part of the show, Baptiste says, but I've been doing this 15 years. That tomb's been there longer than any tour script. Marissa described the moment. I started laughing, nervous laughing. I told Ethan, okay, they're committed actors into their trade, their craft. But our guide swore he didn't know anyone by those names working the tours. Batiste confirmed no such performers are connected through his company. Local historian Claudette Robichaud says the Devereaux name appears in 19th century parish death records. There was a yellow fever outbreak in the 1850s, Robichaud explained. Many wealthy families perished quickly, but folklore sometimes attached itself to certain names. Yes, she says carefully, there are stories in New Orleans of couples who refused to rest, particularly those buried together. That night, the Caldwells say they saw that pair again, this time on Royal Street. They were
Wow.
across the street, Ethan said, just standing there, watching. The following evening, during a separate ghost walk through the French Quarter, Marissa claims she felt someone step close behind her. I turned around. It was her, Isolde. She smiled and said, "You look tired." No one else in their group acknowledged seeing the pair. Hotel security at Hotel, what did you say, Monte Leone?
Montreal.
Monte Leone
Mhm.
reviewed available camera footage from the bar on the first night. According to the Caldwells, management informed them that no one matching the description appeared clearly on surveillance. They said it might have been lighting glare, Ethan said, but we knew what we saw. Some locals offered chilling interpretations. A bartender on Bourbon Street, who asked not to be named, told them bluntly, "You met night people, and if they follow you, don't invite them anywhere." Others were less mystical. "It's New Orleans," laughed tour operator Denise Goutreau. "We breathe theatrics down here. Somebody was having fun with you." but a retired Tulane folklore professor, Dr. Harold Villou, offered a more unsettling possibility. In vampire lore tied to Louisiana Creole traditions, Villou explained, there are accounts of pairs bonded in death who attach themselves to visitors who acknowledge them. Recognition is invitation. When asked what visitors should do if they believe they've encountered such entities, Villou pause, leave immediately, and do not speak their names. The Caldwells cut their trip short. Since returning home, Marissa claims she sometimes wakes at night feeling watched. I'll open my eyes and swear I see two figures at the front of the bed, she says, but when I turn on the light, nothing's there. Ethan says he tries to rationalize it. But here's what I can't quite explain, he adds quietly. We never told anyone Lucian and Isolde's last name at the bar. They introduced themselves with that. And yet the tomb bore the full inscription. As of this report or story here, there is no official record of actors operating inside the hotel that evening. The Devereaux Crypt remains in St. Louis Cemetery number 1, unchanged. Definitely got to write that down, Monica. I'd like to see that. New Orleans says always marked as ghosts, but this couple says what they encountered wasn't theatrical; it was personal. And if Lucian's final words hold true, we'll be seeing you in a city where the dead are never truly buried beneath the earth. That was my that was my last spin there.
Like zero of the dead are buried beneath the earth because they'd pop right back up.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, okay. So I do think that New Orleans has a lot of vampires. I think that the traditional sanguinarian vampire is not the majority. I think that what you encounter, if you are encountering a vampiric entity or person or whatever you want to call that, you're encountering an energy vampire more often than not. They used to, it's grown so much, but they used to hang out in Lafitte's. I know that there used to be a lot of them in Lafitte's way back in the day. And for those of you that don't know, Lafitte's is the Lafitte the Pirate. It's the oldest building in New Orleans, I believe, maybe on the, like east of the Mississippi. It's his blacksmith shop. So it's original to it survived fires. It's old. And back before they expanded it, it was like this little hut kind of. And I'm sure they weren't using actual flame, but they had the candles that look like, or light bulbs that look like real flames one time when I went in, and it was dark. It was barely lit. In the minute I walked in, everybody stopped and looked at me. I had a friend that lived in New Orleans, and he'd be like, yeah, there's energy vampires in there. Like that's like all the time, but they're everywhere though. Like they're not concentrated just to the quarter. You'll find them in the Garden District. You'll find them in the Financial District. You'll find them in the Warehouse District. They're all over. But this particular instance, I think that, like, my gut feeling is telling me that they're not actors. They're not actors.
Okay. Monica, usually the one on the side of pessimism. Very
I know I am being pessimistic. I'm just saying they're not actors.
Okay, I'll keep going.
They're, no, I don't, it's not pessimism. It's rationalism.
Well, rational. I'm sorry for such a harsh word.
I think that it was likely a couple that was, like, a lot of people go to St. Louis Cemetery number 1. It's a very popular site for touring the graveyards.
So, really,
like organized tours.
Before you continue on, so all this stuff I mentioned, you're familiar with all of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So St. Louis Cemetery number 1 is very popular with tours. Like, you can book tours with various tour companies to go through St. Louis number 1. And likely somebody thought they were cool names, picked them up and adopted them, and that's their alter ego at nights and on the weekends or whatever you want, and they go out and jack with the tourists.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe they get off on it. Maybe they're, who knows? I don't think they were
real vampires.
Legitimate vampires. They're just some pasty people that think it's fun to jack the tourists.
But you will say this, you do believe that there are vampires.
Oh, I believe 100% there are vampires.
Yeah.
I don't think that the majority of them are sanguinarian. They're not drinking blood.
Right.
Okay, so all right, Monica, they made mention of their skin being like marble, not pale, but like marble. Now, isn't it in folklore that the older these vampires are, that their skin has a tendency to take on a marble-like texture or a look because they can no longer like hold the elasticity that we have, and the softness? Is that
Right.
true?
To be hard, I don't know. There's so many different tales, but I can't say. I mean, outside of like Anne Rice novels and things like that, I haven't heard of vampire, like folk tales of vampires aging to where they turn into marble. I mean, certainly if we're like looking at it through like an Anne Rice lens, the ancients, when they slowed down and became more and more inactive due to indifference, like they were bored with life, they would sit still and they would become like marble. Like they by all intents and purpose, they look like not translucent. Like their skin wasn't translucent, but it didn't have the
softness.
The softness, yeah. I mean, just looking at it and be like, well, it's marble. Maybe it's not marble. It's too like transparent to be marble. It's like a weird, it's hard to describe. Like it's marble. It looks like stone, right? It looks like if you've ever seen, not an opal. What kind of opal? Agate.
Okay.
Agate solid.
Yes.
But it also kind of is translucent like that.
Okay. A little bit opaque.
That's how I interpreted it. Yeah.
Yeah. So so here we go. So Anne Rice wrote about all of this stuff going down in of course, Louisiana and the French Quarter, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. How close do you think her books were to what has actually happened in that area? Do you think that she was hitting on stuff, but she was trying to not hit on it on purpose? Like she was kind of beating around the bush when she was talking about it? Or do you think she was spot on?
I think that she she wrote about it. I don't think that she was trying to hide anything if she knew something. I think it's very possible she had interactions with vampires in her time there because she lived in New Orleans for a long time. Mm-hmm. A long time. Like I don't know if it was her whole life, but I know she lived there for quite a while. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of what she wrote is what she learned from living there.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the movies, The Vampire Lestat, and just read her whole series on it, or even seen the movies by any means, I always pictured her as being it's not even a main character, it's just like the reporter.
Mm-hmm.
I always pictured her as type of the reporter who was taking the story, like she was writing the story as it was being told.
Yeah, so she's Daniel.
Yes.
Listening to the story being told. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see one of them coming to her and being like, I'll lay it out.
Yeah.
Like the names have been changed to protect myself.
Right. I mean, I that's what I always thought. I'm like, what if that is her? Is she just changed the name and changed the gender of the character? But it's actually her in real life that she was the one taking.
And I thought about that. I was like, this is a lot. Yeah. I mean, and the fact that she lived there wouldn't shock. I mean, and it crossed my mind too. It crossed my mind too that, and what's interesting is her world is so many. It's not just vampires. A lot of people just associate her with vampires, but the Mayfair
witches.
the witches.
Yeah, the
right?
Mayfair witches.
Demons.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
I mean, and
Yeah.
New Orleans has all of it. They've got witches. They got like European witches. They got hoodoo and voodoo witches. They got practitioners of all kinds around the city.
Okay, so I got another question for you. It's a maybe you know, maybe you don't. But your opinion on it. So why would, when she finished the whole vampire series and the Mayfair Witches series, that she went totally writing about Christ and Christianity? And why do you think that happened after she had made, I mean, just buku money on the films, the books, the everything, and then she started writing about Christianity? Why do you think she did that?
There's no atheists in a foxhole and time draws near.
Okay.
Nobody's aging in reverse.
That's
She
right.
wasn't a vampire.
Maybe she just started writing about things that she just always wanted to write about, and maybe she just finally had the money to do it and publish it herself and wouldn't have to worry about all
I
that.
don't know, because I really don't think that she was terribly religious, because Claudia, the young
girl
was based on her daughter that died young.
Yeah.
And I think that she had a real hard time with
True.
God and religion, which I can totally understand.
And maybe that was her way of making peace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
I was thinking when she's writing all these novels about vampires, witchery, and all these other macabre things, maybe she, and maybe not a religious person, or you said she's an atheist. Maybe she felt guilty.
I read somewhere she was, but again, like end of life, there's no
and she maybe felt guilt.
That's just a saying.
Yeah, well,
There's
no, yes, I
foxhole.
understand, and I'm thinking that maybe like a lot of people. I mean, I can relate to even my dad, but maybe she's been into this. Let's just call it like cult type stuff, right? Whether it is or isn't, we all, you know what I'm saying. Maybe she felt as she's getting closer to that age, that maybe she wanted to apologize because she.
Yeah, or maybe
she goes to the pearly gates, right?
Experience that completely changed her mind, and she just went,
perhaps.
I don't know.
Yeah, after she lost her daughter, I mean, that's when all of this began. This is when she started writing about all of this stuff and blah 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 blah. But I think towards the end of her life, I think we may be onto something, that she's just trying to come to grips with the world and her immortality, and this is what she's going to talk about to the very end.
Yeah,
and that's what she did.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with that. And I can, God, when you said that, I started thinking, and a personal thing here, and I'm just going to say this: I love my dad. I really do not know in my life, and there's a reason why I'm going to tell this really briefly. I'm not so sure that my dad even believed in God, which is fine. No, he raised me Catholic. I went to Catholic schools. My dad never said he did not believe in God. I get the sense, knowing the man all my life, that I don't think he really believed, right? That's my gut feeling. And I remember, though, before he passed away, his sister, oh my gosh, devout Catholic. I'm a sinner. We're all sinners. Blah blah blah. I've heard it every Christmas. For God's sakes, it sucks. Rob, you write those books. You have oh my God, I pray for you. I don't dig that, but you gotta deal with her once a year. Yeah, but my dad reached out to his sister, and I knew he was scared because he knew he was going shortly, and he asked her for a scapula, because my dad was smart enough to know and read somewhere in the religious lines that if you die wearing a scapula, you won't go to hell.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
something like that, right? You're
not going to go south. You don't know where you're going.
You don't know where you're going, but you're
south.
definitely not going to the pits of hell.
Okay.
So then it's at that point in my life where I said, yeah, my dad damn did not believe, but he was scared because he knew that Now he wondered about his entire life and maybe not believing or whatever. I don't know, right? I don't know what went through his head, but I got that inclination. Yeah, my dad's really worried now where he's going to go when he dies.
Yeah, my dad did the same thing. My dad, I mean, I've talked about this before. I wasn't raised with any religion.
Yeah.
Input from because he didn't want me to be forced into a belief system. And like he was growing up, presumably, because I've got his dog tags that say he's Methodist, but I promise you he did not set foot in a church.
He just put something down there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate that he did that for me. But I mean, when I would talk to him about it growing up, he'd tell me that he was agnostic. Like he believed that there's something, but he didn't know what it was. And he wouldn't define it as God. He didn't want to go to church. He didn't believe in that specifically. And he was very anti-organized religion, I think. And I don't know what turned him. I never asked him what turned him against like organized religion, or made him turn his back on organized religion, I should say. But at the very end, like the night that he died, he had congestive heart failure and COPD. So he had a hard time breathing. And he went into a hacking fit. I thought he was going to die in front of me that minute because he was coughing so hard. And my uncle was sitting across. My uncle is very, very much a religious man. And he was trying to get my father to admit that he believed in God and, Jesus was his savior. And my dad agreed to it. Shockingly, my father agreed to it.
Yeah, see?
And I was like, and it wasn't shocking to me that my dad did that, but I was more angry at my uncle for forcing it on him. Because it was more for my uncle's relief than it was for my father's benefit. I'm sure my uncle thought it was both, but I viewed it as you're doing that so you feel good that you did all you could for your little brother before he died. Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah, you don't know. I just thought it was one of the things we're talking about this vampire stuff, and we got into that. That dawned on me. It dawned on me that time, and I figured I'm going to bring that up because.
You never know. I mean, this is a good place to ask those questions.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And
yeah, we'll have a fun time in New Orleans, Robbie, when you eventually get there with me.
Well, we got to write those Crips. We got to check that out, right?
I can make it down there in about 9 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'll be there.
We got a place to investigate. We have a place to investigate. Hey, you guys, man, we don't go almost 2 hours. We had a great show. I enjoyed the show. I did. I thought it was pretty cool, like always. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. Really quickly, one more time. I'll go through the list. Amy Creel, thank you for the super cat. Amy, a 12-month pirate.
Super cat.
Yeah, Coley, thank you for the super cat. Rick Skinner, super cat. Moon at Noon, super cat. Mickey Super Cat. And that was it. Thank you so much for that. Everybody hit that like button. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're new, please subscribe to our channels. Bigfoot Rob, Michigan Rob, Blondes and Booze, Monica's Our Paranormal World, of course. I always promote Monica despite not knowing what she's doing, but that's okay. That's okay.
She'll get around to it.
She'll get around to it.
When I feel like it.
She does.
You're not the boss of me.
I ain't the boss of nobody. I'm just a bossa nova. Hey, but listen, I'm so glad because I'm going to rest. I'm taking that pain pill because the threshold is getting there. I'm glad I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm glad I have the day off. I'm doing nothing tomorrow, everybody. I'm just going to stay in my pajamas, I think, all day long.
Take your pills and relax, Robbie.
Yeah, take my pills and relax.
There ain't even nothing wrong with me, and I think I'm staying in my jammies tomorrow. So
yeah, good.
So I got too much to do. I've got my bathrooms being redone.
You've always got work going on over there.
It's an old house.
Yeah, no, it is an old house. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Great show. Subscribe, like, share, leave a comment after, you guys, and have a great rest of your weekend. It's already Sunday morning. And with that said, we're out.
Thanks for watching Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and beyond. enemies